Why angels drink whiskey to silence the truth. This is why angels drink whiskey to forget what they do. This is why angels drink whiskey. I pray they never fail. This is why angels drink whiskey to protect us from hell.
Chapter 1. The Smell of War. An unknown day in August, present. Ramiel gripped the D-ring of his helicopter harness like it was the last thread to life. The crossbar which it was anchored to took a bullet in the last mission. His body weight caused it to snap right after liftoff, leaving him half dangling in the open cabin doorway. His legs swung over the skids, the wind tearing at his uniform as the rotors thumped overhead with the steady rhythm of doom. He was tall, with jet black hair, always slicked back in military regulation. Funny thing though, it never stayed that way. His face contained a sharp jawline, dark brown eyes and sun-tanned skin, which gave him the look of a man built for battle. He wasn't movie star pretty, but the kind of handsome that made people hesitate. He quickly repositioned himself in his seat. With his free hand, he aimed his mounted machine gun over the horizon as it rested in its metal swivel. The vibration from the blades hummed through his spine, rattling his bones and nerve endings. He spit a wad of chew into the wind, watching it spiral down toward the shadow of another chopper. To most, the air reeked of jet fuel and sweat. To Ramiel, it was so much more. It smelled like purpose. This was the smell of freedom. Ramiel loved this country, loved it so much it nearly broke him. He'd given everything: time, peace, presence, even his joy. Born overseas, he'd chased the American dream straight into the teeth of combat. He was proud to be an American soldier, but lately that pride felt like carrying a ton of bricks. The battlefield used to feel righteous. Now it felt haunted. The paychecks still came, but now they felt blood-soaked. His mental health began to decline also. He'd begun to see things, hallucinations. PTSD was his diagnosis, but he dreaded that it may be something more. The visions felt too real, like prophetic reenactments bleeding through reality. Occasionally, when he would glance down at his palms, they would appear to be covered in blood. Not real blood, but a red mist that shimmered and quickly vanished. The visions coerced unthinkable actions from Ramiel, who was a self-professed atheist at the time. 2 days before deployment, he visited the unit's chaplain. The chaplain welcomed him with open arms. They prayed together, practiced meditation, and even read a few scriptures. "These visions you're having are a manifestation of unjust guilt," the chaplain said. "Stop punishing yourself. You are doing wonderful things for God and country. Just maintain the course." But Ramiel wasn't convinced. The choppers dipped low, flaring toward a small village. Through his NVGs, Ramiel saw adobe homes under the cover of jungle canopy. They were beautiful, and their vibes were peaceful, but Ramiel knew how beauty broke under fire. A quick comms check, then boots hit dirt, and guns went up. Ramiel and his team moved fast, fluid, alert. Then, it all went sideways.
Move back!
Someone shouted as a hail of bullets ripped through the village air. They bounded and leapfrogged from cover to cover. Fire, sprint, drop, and repeat. Ramiel didn't think. He moved with muscle memory. Dirt and debris erupted at their heels as rounds hissed past, ripping bark off trees and chipping stone walls into clouds of dust. Each impact was a drumbeat of chaos. Muzzle flashes burst like lightning in a storm of lead. They were supposed to meet an informant and escort him to the extraction zone. Too easy. Well, it should have been. Mission intelligence predicted 20 untrained rebels with small arms. Turned out there were over 300 elite fighters emerging from hidden bunkers like hornets. The trap had snapped shut. Dawn approached and the fighting continued. 3 soldiers were KIA, 3 wounded, and 6 left fighting. They ducked into a small building near the southern edge of the village. They were completely surrounded. The building would become their last stand. Ramiel's trigger finger began to ache from a forming blister. His knuckles were split, and he clenched his jaw until his teeth ached. Sweat carved lines through soot on his face, and the air reeked of blood and gunpowder. An uneasy feeling began to come over him. Then, the mortar hit. The blast flung him like a rag doll into shattered debris. The noise was a godless bell ringing in his skull. Dust swirled like a fog. He tried to rise, but during his attempt, something shifted inside him. He was left laying motionless on the ground. The air thinned, the noise faded, and then the vision came. The mud brick walls melted into open desert. The smoke turned to swirling ash clouds, and through those clouds, a cracked altar appeared beneath a weeping sky. An angel knelt before it. Its fractured golden armor and tattered wings gave it the look of defeat. Ramiel felt the angel's pain like it was his own. Then, from the shadows, something emerged, and not a creature, but a presence. It stood motionless and silent. It just watched. Yellow eyes glimmered beneath its hood. They created a hollow gaze that shined like moonlight. Then, in one swift motion, the creature brandished a sword. It took up a fighting position with its aim focused on the back of the angel.
Watch out!
Ramiel screamed. The creature came to an abrupt stop, sheathed its sword, and began charging toward Ramiel. It moved in a manner that was horrifying. No fluid movements, just a collection of quick twitches. Ramiel tried to run, but his feet sank into ash. Then, as the creature approached his front, everything in front of him fell into darkness, followed by silence. And then, he was back. Ramiel awoke with a gasp. His consciousness returned as Cassiel dragged him from the rubble.
You good?
Cassiel barked, coughing between words. Cassiel's long black braids were flecked with ash, his copper-toned skin streaked with blood and soot. His eyes, dark and unwavering, carried the stillness of old forests and forgotten storms. He was a masterclass in quiet strength, a true anchor in chaos. Ramiel shook his head no as blood trickled from his nose. But no wasn't a reflection of his true feelings. Between the mortar strike and his run-in with the creature, he was now back in the place he preferred.
We still need you in this fight,
Cassiel screamed. He pulled Ramiel to his feet and shoved his rifle in his chest. The building groaned above them, and the wounded moaned behind them. Their ammo was low, and the enemy was attempting to breach. They had only one shot to escape. Cassiel laid out the plan, quick, precise, and surgical.
In 2 minutes, we set the charges, pop smoke, and evacuate the injured to the extraction zone. Ramiel will lay suppressive fire and move 5 yards behind,
Cassiel screamed. His voice cut through the gunfire like steel shearing bone. Ramiel loaded his final mag and moved into position.
Go, I got this.
Ramiel yelled. Cassiel set the charges and gave the signal. He began turning away. Then,
Grenade!
Cassiel yelled out. He quickly dove on top of the explosive, shielding Ramiel from the blast. The blast took him instantly. Ramiel was thrown backwards by the shockwave. Another grenade came flying in, then two more. His lungs filled with dust and dread. He began reciting the prayer that the chaplain taught him.
Lord, please, have mercy on my soul.
Then nothing. August 26th was that unknown day. On August 26th, Ramiel Hill and Jonas Cassio were killed in action, but death was just the beginning. As Ramiel's soul peeled away from his body, the world beneath him dimmed. There was no tunnel, no light, just a vast stillness, and then a ripple. Something ancient began to occupy in consciousness, a distant memory from something his eyes had never seen. It unfolded like smoke in reverse, blooming into shape, a time before Ramiel and Cassiel, a time before war had names. It wasn't a dream. It was a warning etched into the marrow of every soul who ever dared to cross over. The origin of the first betrayal, the rise and ruin of the angel of death, the story of Samael, the first to fall, not in battle, but in love.